Welcome back. We're still chatting with Miyanda, and we left off where you talked about you had just come back to Zambia, and things were not exactly as you had planned them to be. What kept you going?
My children. You know, I knew and I constantly reminded myself that I had a responsibility. But obviously, that drive in me to create an organization where I would be able to offer facilities that very few people are able to offer. You know, for an example is people looking for jobs obviously struggle. I mean, who do you talk to? Who can help you? And I'm coming out and saying I would like to be a bridge between the person looking for a job and the person who wants to employ you. So for me, it was that drive of wanting to create something different in the market, wanting to reach out to people who don't have a voice to speak to them, who is obviously the person on the street trying to find employment. So that, and the ambition, I mean, it is not questionable that I'm an extremely ambitious person. And so that pushed me.
You must have felt, I have a winning concept. There is no way this is not going to work out. It's a winning concept.
Throughout, I spoke to people who told me it wouldn't work.
Is it?
Absolutely. There were people who told me that the concept would just not work in this environment. But I pounded the streets every day. I would open the directory and get phone numbers of companies every day. And I would go into industry every day because I knew that there was a need in the market. And at the back of my mind, Chibamba's words telling me that I could do it meant something. I mean, he must have known what he was talking about. And so that is, those are some of the things that just kept me telling myself that just wake up just one more time. Just one more time. The break is coming. And for sure it did.
When did it come? How did it happen? How did you get your first contract?
Unbelievable stuff. We obviously, went into the market. At the time, I'd gotten a couple of people to help me. And we had gone into industry, we'd had meetings. And when you go into an organization, you're young and you're claiming to be a consultant. And so doors close because people don't think you know what you're talking about. But one of the things I tell people is when you open your mouth, how credible are you? How much will people believe what you say? The way you look, the way you present yourself, the way you talk, the way you communicate, and the product itself. And so the first break came, I remember it was September of 2006. I can't forget. I mean, this was my big check. But somebody out there listened and accepted the fact that we knew what we were talking about. And they gave us the opportunity and we proved ourselves. And that's how we've moved on until today.
Well, you mentioned that you didn't have an office at the time when you got your first contract. Did you finally get that office you were looking for?
Yes, finally got an office with no money to pay rentals. Wow. So I got my dad to help me negotiate with the owner of the premises to allow us, rather than paying for 3 months, he allowed us to pay per month. It was a very nice...
Where was that?
Zimco House on the 8th floor.
So we must all go there looking for free space.
You have to. I mean, it was one little room. But, for me, presentation is important. I mean, you have to present the right product, the right image. I think that world-class organizations do that. They spend fortunes trying to create the right image. So with the little resources that we got, we partitioned that one little room. Without a door, we couldn't afford to do that. But that was our first office, and we never lost focus. We woke up every morning and went to the market and came back every day and asked each other, what is it that we're doing wrong? I always used to say to my staff, if a client says no to you, find out why. Every time you think you have taken 20 steps ahead, something happens and you take another 40 steps backwards. But I always give the example of somebody learning to ride a bicycle. Unless you fall off the bicycle, you will really never know what it feels like to ride. So every time I take these steps backwards, I say to myself, God must be preparing me for that giant leap. And it always happens. I take that giant leap and I get my head above the water again. So it hasn't been, there's been a lot of challenges.
What was the lowest moment?
2007, July. I was sitting in church on a Sunday, having left home. Everything was okay. And just an hour later, I went back home to find that my house had burned to the ground. You get to a point where you think you've got it. Everything is happening the way it should. You've started to rise above everything, and everything is just taken away from you. And I remember at the time I was working on a project on the Copper Belt and had just driven that weekend just to get some clothes. And suddenly, within an hour, everything's gone and it's just me and the car left. And sadly, just 260,000 kwacha in the account. And I needed to drive back to Chisamba to do training. No clothes, no money, just a car. So I said to myself, I have a commitment to my client and I must honor that commitment. In the morning, I went and took the 260,000 kwacha out of my account. I went to Kamwala, I bought a skirt, I bought a top. I went into Pep and bought a pair of shoes, and the balance I gassed up my car and I drove to Chisamba. It broke me. I remember looking at this shell and I cried. But after that, I said, how long am I going to cry? I have to move on. But it was really, really difficult. That was the point when I said, you know what, this is it. I'm not going to try anymore. But we rose above it. And here we are today.
Speechless. Totally. Welcome back. We continue chatting with Miyanda, who is a human resource and image building consultant. Miyanda, I've been following your columns in the past 3 years in the Post newspaper. Very inspiring, I must say. You obviously have a very strong passion for human resource and for image building. I know I'm not the president, but I need you to do a quick image consultancy on me now. Like, quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I had my color palettes because then I would be able to do a quick check on whether the colors that you're wearing complement you. Okay. Yes, it's not just about picking colors. Yeah. You have to understand whether the color that you're wearing complements with your skin undertone. Yeah. This is why you find at times when you're complimented, someone will say to you, oh, you're looking very nice. If they say that, it means everything that you've put on it has complimented you. Okay. But when they say to you, oh, that is a very nice top you're wearing, they have removed you out of the top. And all that they're complimenting is the top alone.
Okay.
Yes, so it's important when you're planning your wardrobe to understand the colors that will suit you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for a personality like mine, that's very. I think I'm in between introvert, extrovert, somewhere in between.
Okay.
What would you recommend?
Well, it really depends. There is a process that we call color coding, where I will use different swatches of fabric on your skin to make sure that it is the right color for you. And after that, we'll then put you in a season. It might be winter, summer, autumn vivid, or spring. And then we're able to disclose which colors are right for you. It's not something that you can stand back and look at someone's complexion and say, oh, well, I think you would look nice in red. It doesn't work like that. Okay. So whilst I'm wearing red, if I put the red on you, it might not complement you well.
Okay, so if I need a class, do you offer that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. We've got a fantastic image studio.
Oh.
Yes. Fully fledged image studio where we can do everything. We can assess your body shape, your face shape, tell you whether the sunglasses or the specs that you're wearing are suitable for your face shape.
Okay.
Yes, your personality style. I mean, everybody, what we encourage people as image consultants is to work with what they have. Celebrate your individuality. Everyone is made wonderfully and beautifully, by God. So we use what you have. We're not going to say to you, go and lose 20 pounds before we can start working with you. We work with whatever you have.
Okay.
Yeah.